Welcome to another episode of India's EV Revolution. This is episode 15, and with the new launches coming in mind, there's so many new cars coming into place. We're going to discuss how the electrical grid of the world and in India are playing a role in keeping up with these electrical cars. Let's get it started. The electric car revolution that we are currently in is by far the biggest revolution, second only to Henry Ford's assembly line revolution that he created in 1913. Everyone wants to go electric. For instance, Jaguar as a company is going all electric. They will only produce electric cars from 2025. From 2028, even Lotus is going to do the same thing. By 2030, 70% of VW's cars are going to be all electric, and by 2035 even GM is only going to do or produce electric cars. According to Ford, by 2038 all vehicles around the world will be around 80 to 85% electric. So we are looking at a gradual revolution with respect to electric cars, because as compared to any other alternative fuel, electric cars look like the future. But the biggest question is, do we have the electrical infrastructure in place, not just in India, but overall over the world, where we can transfer our current generation of ICE cars to all electric? The answer is yes. Everyone is working towards renewable sources of power. Even in India, currently the electricity generated is 27% by wind and water or hydroelectricity, and by 2040 we will be upping that to around 55%. Currently we do have surplus electricity which can be used to charge these cars, because these cars do need a lot of power to charge. But by 2040, by the time we reach that electrical age or revolution, we should be able to charge most of these things. The other advantage with electric cars is you don't just have to power these cars and use them to drive. You can also use these cars as reverse chargers to power other cars or even your homes. So in case you are in remote areas where you do not have access to electricity, you can use this as a big, large power pack. And that's one of the advantages that you see with these cars or ICE cars that we see currently rolling out on the street. That's going to be a game changer. The other things that are also coming our way is we have still not tapped into the solar power that we can generate, because we do need large fields where you can place these solar panels. And also wind energy. We have abundance of wind, and we still do have so many places around the world. Even in India, there's so many plain fields where we can set up windmills to generate electricity for us. With alternative electric power plants coming up, like solar energy power plants, you have windmill power plants and also hydroelectric power plants, we are looking at a good sustainable source of electricity for us. So the future is bright. But then it is going to take some time with respect to the transition. With the current speed that we're growing in the electrical age or electric car revolution age or electric bike age, it somewhere feels to be a backdrop or a small loophole which we are not able to meet. That's where supply and demand comes into play. But gradually we are heading towards it. Currently in India, we have 2,482 DC fast chargers which are being placed. In Delhi alone, there are around 200 power chargers being placed, that's DC fast chargers, and they are also further going to reduce the cost at which we charge these cars. For an example, right now in Mumbai, I'm paying around 18 rupees per kilowatt hour of charge. On the other hand, in Delhi, once the subsidized costs are revealed, we will have somewhere around 2 rupees per kilowatt hour. So if you're driving a Tata Tigor, for instance, you will be able to charge that car up in 100 rupees. And if you're driving a Volvo XC40 Recharge, You'll be able to do that in about 170 rupees. Can you just imagine, in 170 rupees on the XC40 recharge, I get a range of around 400 kilometers. That's almost at the cost of 0.5 rupees per kilometer, which is even lesser than what CNG is currently charging us. That in itself is going to be a very cost-effective measure and heading towards the green age once again. On an average, an Indian household consumes around 209 kilowatt hour of electricity. That's monthly. Now compare that to this car, the XC40 Recharger. It has a battery pack of 67 kilowatt hour. So if I have to charge this car maybe twice a week or thrice a week, that's around 350 additional units of electricity per month. You factor that in with the number of cars or electric cars that are going to be sold very soon, that is going to put a lot of pressure on the electrical grid. Our government as well as companies which help produce electricity for India have already factored that in, because of which they are setting up new power plants which are based on renewable sources of energies. When I say renewable sources, it's solar, it's hydro, and also wind. When these renewable sources of energies are put on, like these new plants start supporting the existing power plants, they will effectively reduce the cost of electricity for us. So we have demand and then we have supply. Once the supply starts to go up, our cost of electricity or supplies for us at the end users will automatically start to go down. So electricity is set to get cheaper. Yes, but that's when the infrastructure gets into place. But the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people do have this concern. We are moving into that age, but are we really getting up for it everywhere? Because the manufacturers seem to have got into the game. Everybody else is a little big setback is because we don't see the change happening in our front. I mean, I see the electricity poles here. You have seen these electricity poles here for ages now. We don't know what's happening at the back end, but this is an insight for you guys that there are people who have already accounted for this, and the back end is going to be even stronger to support this revolution. With range anxiety, a lot of people have had this as an issue, is because you need at least anywhere between an hour or hour and a half to charge any car from 0 to 100. These cars especially, and with the limited range, it's very difficult to factor in what is going to be your travel time. With the additional DC charges coming into place and manufacturers taking it into account, they need these cars to charge faster. They have started giving faster charging options to these cars. For instance, this XC40 can charge from 0 to 80% in about 35 to 40 minutes on a DC fast charger which supports 400 watts of output. That's amazing. The only problem is we do not have those fast chargers right now. So right now you can go to the current existing DC chargers which are powered at anywhere between 25 to 35, and on an average you can recharge this car from a 0 to 80 or even 100 in about 1.5 hours. But with the newer technology or newer DC chargers being deployed, you will be able to charge this car in even 35 to 40 minutes. That's even half the time as to what people were first claiming.
Okay, we'll do a quick speed lap.
Just a few days back, we drove the Kia EV6. And that car has a charging capacity of 77.4 kilowatt hour, and that car can charge from 0 to 80% in 18 minutes. I'm not joking. This sounds like a Vivo phone which was first launched with a fast charger, and it could charge itself within 20 minutes to a full charge. But that's happening. The technology between a phone's battery and the battery existing on an electric car is not that different. The only difference is that it's exponentially big as compared to a phone's battery. But we are figuring out ways to maintain the battery life as well, because the more faster you charge, there's more heat generated, and that reduces the life of the battery pack. But manufacturers are figuring out ways where they can charge the cars faster. But even after telling you all of these facts and stats, if you're not convinced into investing into electrical cars or electrical infrastructure or electrical future, and if in spite of what I've said, somehow all the people who are thinking about electric cars or electric grids or the future of electricity fail accumulatedly, they all fail. Nobody is able to work it out, and we go back to being primitive. In that case, even I'm carrying a backup with me. So if nothing else works, this is probably going to be a final solution for everyone. We'll all pedal our way into the future.